Hello, I'm Assemblymember Sharon Quirk Silva. I'm happy to represent the 67th District, which includes the city of Fullerton, Anaheim, Buena Park, La Palma, Cypress, Artesia, Cerritos, and Hawaiian Gardens. And right here, we're sitting at the Korean War Memorial in the beautiful city of Fullerton.
So tell us a little bit about the 67th district. I know the redistricting things always change the numbers and size and boundaries. What do we have in this district? What are the characteristics do you remember?
This new 67th district, which has recently been redistricted, is now 70% of Orange County, which includes the cities of Fullerton, Anaheim, Buena Park, La Palma, Cerritos, and then 30% Los Angeles, Artesia, Cerritos, and Hawaiian Garden. But it's also home to Disneyland, which is now part of our district, Knott's Berry Farm, so theme parks, hotels, many small businesses, but of course a growing Korean community, the largest Korean community in our district. Latino, very large Latino community, and then many other ethnicities, languages, religions, very diverse. Even a growing South Asian community in the city of Artesia.
So it's a total package of a little bit of everything: education, commerce, amusement park, residents. You also have to take care of the crimes and all kinds of issues, right?
Well, one of the things we're really proud about in North Orange County and even in our Los Angeles areas are our school districts are highly ranked and highly desirable. We have people who come from many miles to attend the highly acclaimed Troy High School, Sunny Hills High School. We have in Los Angeles the ABC School District that has many awards. So we know people move here to North Orange County and Los Angeles because they believe not only is it a good place for education for their students, but it's also a safe place. And even though we always have to address crime, we know in this area crime is far lower than in other areas.
Now, what are the issues do you think that people have to pay attention to right now? I know tons of things going on. You've been everywhere. What do you want to tell them?
There are three major issues that we know that are very concerning to our constituents. Number one, homelessness. Number two, housing prices. How much it costs to either rent or buy a home. And number three, mental health issues. That after the pandemic, we know that there are students and adults still suffering from some of the impacts on COVID. More and more high schoolers suffering with depression and issues like that. So we have to address that for adults and our young adults especially. But with the housing and homelessness, that goes together. We will continue to have more homelessness unless we build more homes. We build less homes now in 2023 than we did in the 1960s. So we haven't kept pace with building homes, and even the homes that we build, many of them are not affordable. So for our seniors, for young adults, we have to build to have not only housing, but less homelessness.
What are the things that should be done and will be done in terms of legislative perspective from the state
in legislation? Yes, I sit on the housing committee, and we have bills to encourage more production of housing. We also have bills that tell a single family owner, if you own your home, then there's more legislation to say you can build like a granny flat or a unit on your house to house somebody, and that's encouraging them to do that. We also, with homelessness, still a lot of dollars being spent in homelessness, but we want to see that those dollars are spent wisely, that there's an impact made. So we have some studies now to see, are those dollars actually making a difference? We know that many of the homeless are also experiencing issues with addiction and with mental health. So we have to have those support systems because you can't just tell somebody get off the street if they're mentally ill and also they're addicted. So we have to have places for them to go. So we're looking at building specific types of housing for that group.
You said newly built, those housings out there are not affordable. What can be done or should be done to encourage them to build more like low income or middle income housings in the area?
Well, typically housing decisions are made at the local city council level. So if you look at the cities like Gwinnett Park, they're doing a lot of new projects, and some of them, not all of them, but some of them have a certain amount of units that are affordable. So it doesn't have to be 100%, but at least some. But there's other cities that haven't built any. So we're trying to encourage through state grants and funding cities to decide, yes, we want to build this, and they'll apply for the grants and funding.
I see. Now you've been serving this district, city council, mayor, state for almost 20 years. It was a little up period, I remember. But after, having served this Korean American community, for example, 92833 is the most populated, Korean American populated area in the country. Now, what are the things that you remember with this community? If you could just pinpoint a couple of memories that you have.
I've been representing, as you said, a very large Korean constituency for a very long time now, not only as the mayor of Fullerton, but as a teacher and now, of course, state assembly member. And the Korean culture has many similarities to the Latino culture, with a focus on family, a focus on being hard workers, having invested in their communities to bring business to our communities. And for that very rich culture, I have embraced it by not only serving the community, but trying to move legislation forward that honors the community. So, for example, we did a special legislation for Taekwondo Day, for Hangul Day, special legislation for Kimchi Day. And so I've not only learned about the community, but have embraced the community, and even traveled to South Korea to even learn more about the community, because I take it very seriously that I represent a large amount of Korean Americans.
When was the last time you've been to Korea?
We went to Korea in 2018.
2018.
Right before the pandemic.
Any plan to go back in the near future?
Yes, we really enjoyed it. I don't have a trip planned now, but I will always go when possible.
Okay. Now, let's go back to the last election for a second. We had a Korean American competitor, obviously. It was a fierce fight. It was the second time for you. We do remember that. Even our paper, Korea Daily, endorsed your competitor, and we remember a lot of Korean American community members supported her instead of you. Now, after all this happened, does that make you somewhat like uncomfortable or even betrayed? What do you say?
In the last few years, I have had two Korean opponents, very respectable, hardworking women, Korean women, Young Kim and Soo Yu. And I always support women running for office. I understand the interest in all communities to have a representative that looks like them, speaks the same language, is from the community. So I don't don't begrudge the Korean community to want to support a candidate that looks and speaks the same language. But what I would say is it's important to go deeper into what are the values of the candidate. So as mentioned, I support affordable housing. I support access to health care. I support stricter laws on gun violence. And these are important values that we differ on, the other candidates and I. And so I think it's really important that people understand what are the main issues. And we know that in the Korean community, many of the Korean community rely on some of the services from the county, from the state, related to affordable housing, related to health care. And those are the type of votes that I say yes to. And so understanding that just because somebody speaks the same languages from the community doesn't mean that they're always having the same type of support for those important services that are important, especially in our senior communities. We know that in Orange County there are many Korean Americans that actually live in affordable housing, and without that support we wouldn't have those units to provide. And even now we're seeing more and more seniors falling into homelessness, but even mental health services. Those are the kind of types of decisions we make, and I say yes to those. I've also been able, as an elected official, be able to bring in dollars with the support of the Korean Community Services for mobile health units just last year, and even before, support for community service for Koreans when they needed, I think it was sprinklers. And when you're up in Sacramento working with the majority party, those are the things that I've been able to deliver for the community.
Okay, so to briefly summarize what you just said is, we do understand that you share the same language and same heritage in this community, but still you have to take a look at their platforms and policies and legislative direction they are going. That's the point when you decide who to vote for.
Right, that it's very important to understand what are they for or what are they against, and who has the most likely chance of being able to bring those benefits to the community.
Let's go deeper a little bit. I had a beautiful conversation with this KADC young generation around 30, 40. They're kind of complaining that they never had this question before, but sometimes they have to decide whether it is a Democrat thing or is a Korean American thing. Now, would it be fair to say that you automatically support somebody who has same heritage or same language they're speaking? Or you always have to go for the policies they have to take a look at?
What I would say is,
would there be anything happening the same thing happening in the Latino community too?
I think there is a natural instinct to just support somebody who has maybe a familiar name or who speaks the language in the community. And we have seen that with the voting patterns, that if there is a Korean candidate, that there many in the community have voted for that Korean candidate instead of myself. But my offering is, again, to look at the critical issues that affect their lives, because that's what makes a difference on a day-to-day level. Is, like I said, are there housing? Are there services that they can have access to? And who supports those? Right now we know that there's a lot of anger and hate out there against the Asian Pacific Islander community. We know that there's a lot of gun violence, and those are important issues. So just say no to every piece of gun legislation, that's really having an impact on our students. They're going to school now having to do drills against a gun attack. So I say yes to sensible gun legislation. I still think you should be able to have your Second Amendment right, but I don't think you need to have an assault rifle. So that's the difference, is really understanding where are they on certain issues and how do these candidates differ on issues, because the if you just vote by race, then you might actually not be voting to support issues that are important to you.
Got it. Now you took the office again, and obviously it's going to be the last time. Am I right?
No, I have one more term. One more term.
Now, ever since you took this office again, it's been about 6 months, 7 months.
Yes.
Now, what's your biggest focus in this term that you want to serve this district?
Of course, my focus that it has been in the past and it will be in the future is working on housing, making sure we can build more affordable housing units. It's going to be working on investing in education, making sure that our education institutions are still highly regarded, and of course adding mental health supports. Those are the three main issues.
Now, you've been working on, I looked through, you have about 30 or even 35 resolutions and bills going on in the State House. Now, if you could just pinpoint a couple of items, the bills, the resolution that you've been working on, how would you like to introduce them to our viewers?
Well, this year we usually have them in different categories: housing, education, like I said, some social services, mental health, foster care. But some of the bills that I'm very proud of that we've been working on, one for 10 years now, has been the Orange County Veterans Cemetery. And even though that's not a bill this year, we continue to work on having the only Orange County Veterans Cemetery in Anaheim off of Gypsum Canyon Road. And right now it's being studied, but we're about maybe a year away from, a year to year and a half away from finally being able to have a veteran cemetery. So sometimes you work very long on an initiative. We also have bills that we have to reintroduce, and we try to keep moving them. One is on mental health, and for the schools, the high schools, to have more access for their students for mental health. So we'll be working on that again. And then, of course, we're always trying to look at how to improve our environment. So with climate change, as we can see, with the making sure we have the right infrastructure for floods, making sure we have start to look at ways that we can each do our own share for our carbon footprint, more trees, all of those type of infrastructure.
I see. Now, Taekwondo, kimchi, hangul, arirang, you name it. Even across the aisle, you had this opportunity to work with Stephen Choi even. Now, where does it come from? What do you think what does that mean to our community, Korean American community? Why are you doing this, please?
Well, first we hired our very knowledgeable senior field rep, Joe Pack, and he's been working with me since 2012. And he knows of the Korean community extremely well. So those initiatives sometimes come from our field Joe Pack. And then we looked for opportunities to partner with Assemblymember Stephen Choi. Now that he's not there, we still look for ways to do more in the community, because we know these resolutions, we know that these budget wins make a difference, and we want to send the message to the Korean community that we care and will work on their behalf, whether I'm Korean or not.
I know from the very beginning you supported Joe Pack when it comes to Korean War Memorial, what we have right here. What does that mean to you?
Yes, as we sit here in this historic place, one of a kind in America, and we look at the names that are engraved here of the American soldiers that stepped up to the call of duty in a time of need for for the Korean community when they needed that help through the war of the Korean War. We know that to pay tribute back to them was important. Of course, building a monument like this was costly, but it also took the partnership with the city of Fullerton. So I was very proud that my husband at that time, Councilmember Jesus Silva, said yes. I was part of the initial advisory committee to say yes. And in fact, my father served in the Army and was in the Korean War himself. So it means a lot to have a place very close to my home that we know many honored guests from the community, the Korean community from South Korea have already visited, and we know they will come in the future to pay tribute to these heroes that stood up.
My father went, just a personal story. My father went through Japanese conquerorship, and also he was 18 when the war broke out. I came here, it makes me very humble that I can exist because of these people.
Right.
That's the feeling. I think it became a memorial tourism spot that I should recommend to anybody that I know.
Yeah, and I think that it will be, and it already is, the destination when we have individuals from the Korean community that are traveling and they hear about this Korean War Memorial. We know that they will come, and we've already seen them come, and we know there will be more as it becomes more popular. We have even talked about putting it on the destination place for Visit California, which is a formal, organization in the state of California, but putting it as a destination. So that's another step we could make to make it even more popular.
I'm sure a lot of voters out there, Korean Americans, appreciate what you have been doing with this wonderful memorial place and also your service to this district. With all that, where are we going? Are you running again, or are we going to some higher legislative institution, or are you going to somewhere else? Tell us, give us a hint.
Well, I have one more term left. That would be 2024 to run for this 67th district. I plan to run, and I will continue to do the work that I have done, and I hope that the Korean community would look at the work I've done in the past and would consider me in the future. But it really has been an honor to serve the Korean community and the constituents of the Assembly District 67.
Thank you.